So, when are you expecting a challenge?
Pete, what I'm expecting, I can tell you the discussions that I've had with people is all about what we need to do to bring the Liberal Party and the National Party back together. That is the focus of everyone that I've been talking to over the last 2 to 3 days. We cannot continue like we are, and if things escalate, then it's going to make it harder to bring it back together. So all of us need to be focused on what we can do to bring the coalition back together. Imagine what it's going to be like once we start heading into Senate pre-selections. What does this mean for the LNP in Queensland? What does it mean if you have multiple spokespeople out there arguing around different policies? We all owe a responsibility to the Australian people to get ourselves back together, and that is what the focus should be.
Well, I mean, all of that just leads to permanent opposition. But are there discussions being made about the leader, a new leader of the Liberal Party, or a new leader of the Nationals Party for all of that, as you say, to be worked out?
Look, every discussion I've had has been about making sure that we can do everything we can to bring the parties back together. We need to pause. We don't need anything that is going to exacerbate more division. What we've got to do is pause, and we've got to work out, OK, what is the way that we can start the path back to bringing our two great parties back together again, because that is how we are successful.
So do you think there needs to be a new leader or not of the Liberal Party?
About that. Forget about leadership. What we need to be focused on is bringing the two parties back together. But that's
where all the attention is.
As soon as
you know, David Littleproud, I mean, he called it on the last week. I mean, he's the one who started all of this.
Well, one of the things that we always have done, and whether it be the Liberal Party or the National Party, is respect the fact that each party determines who their leader is, and that has to be part of how we go forward. And what we need now is for cool heads to prevail, and for us to look at, OK, how can we put in place some sort of mechanism to start building the bridges, building the trust to bring ourselves back together. Otherwise, we are going to be politically irrelevant for months and months. It's going to get harder and harder to bring ourselves back together, and all we're doing is handing an absolute gift to Anthony Albanese, an absolute gift to Anthony, and that is not in our nation's best interest.
So do you support Susan Lee staying on as leader then?
I've always supported the leader. That's who I am. That's the way I've always
But this leader
operated.
in particular,
because
Susan Lee,
in the end,
you support her staying on as leader?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what do you
And
make of Andrew Hastie and Angus Taylor
potentially
making moves in the background?
Well, there's always a lot of speculation in politics, and I don't comment on speculation because that's not what we should be focused on. What we need to be focused on is making sure we're building those bridges to get our parties back together again. Because if we don't do it within the next fortnight, the next 3 weeks, it'll get harder and harder and harder to be able to do that. And history points to that. So we have to be doing everything we can to get both parties back together. If we are going to be a successful opposition, we need to do that. And all my colleagues have to take collective responsibility, Liberal and National Party, on making sure that now everything we're doing is focused on that outcome.